this is the Newport Boat Show, huh?
Actually, this is the 30th one.
What do you think, man?
See, this is beautiful. All these power boats here today. Real big selection as far as going from the low to average man type boats all the way up to the multi-million-dollar world-class yachts.
And I know what you mean because I see a lot of companies out here that really have put in a new line of boats. I noticed that the new power boats tend to have more of a sleek design to them, and they tend to be a more of
Stylish.
the stylish, more funny looking type boats.
Not necessarily funny. They have more kind of flair for the high class society. They're not your typical square, I'm going boating kind of fishing show type boat.
One thing you can always tell about a fishing boat is the way the hull comes up and flares out.
Yeah.
Because these boats are designed to run 20, 30 knots in water, and they take a lot of beating. So
In what, medium seas, heavy seas?
4 foot, 6 foot seas. So when you see, the whole hull is designed when the water comes up, it flares off the hull, and then she rides very stable. Fishing boats, like they tend to be, they got a nice chine to the bottom. They're not flat bottom, but they're not steep like they have in racers.
So it's not a classic V-hull.
No, it's a V-hull, but it's a chine on it. It's a certain way they chine the hull that it goes through the water. And calm seas like this sucker would fly probably 45 knots, man.
Yeah.
But in rough water, she chops and she cuts right through it, and she still stays stable. Let's go aboard and see if we can get an interview.
Yeah, let's do
All
that.
right.
It's a new Cabo 45 Express. It cruises at 27 knots, top speed of 31 knots.
What's your name?
My name's Greg.
Greg, glad to meet you. Stan Miller Yachts?
Stan Miller. I'm actually with Cabo Yachts.
Is that Cabo Yachts out of Costa Rica?
No, Cabo Yachts is in Adelano, California.
Oh.
Just the other side of the mountain.
I'm sorry, I'm thinking Cabo
And how long have
Rica.
they been in business?
11 years.
Oh, wow.
Tell us about this boat.
This is a Cabo 45 Express. This was introduced in 1997. Was named Boat of the Year by Boating Magazine. And to date, we built 85 of these. It's the largest production run of this type of vessel of any company in North America.
Mm-hmm. And what's the latest update you've done to the boat?
The latest update is to incorporate a pair of 1050 MAN, which is a German manufacturer, 1050 horsepower engines, which brings the top speed of the boat to 37.5 knots. So this boat is really designed and built for a dedicated sports fisherman, someone that's going to do tournament fishing. And one of the key elements of tournament fishing is to get out to where the fish are first, and that's why the speed is an important factor.
Question. Now, I was just talking to Jim about the hull. Now, can you tell us about how this hull is set up? Okay, say we are going from here to Mexico to go fishing, 3-day, 4-day cruise. How would this boat handle in 4 to 6 foot seas?
Well, it's a 45-foot boat. It has a gross displacement of just under 50,000 pounds. So, that's the norm for most of the kind of fishing that people do in these boats. They're 100 miles offshore. They expect at least that, either coming or going. And they'll fish in 8 to 12 foot seas. It's if the fish are there, you go, and that's why you'd want to have a vehicle like this.
And what size of crew would you have on board if you're going to go tournament fishing?
A captain, a mate, and as many people as you have on board fishing.
Yeah.
That's all you need.
Well, thanks, Greg. I sure appreciate that. Could I ask some questions about the Grand Banks?
Sure, go ahead.
First of all, the 42, is that the same type of Grand Banks? Is this the same Grand Banks line from days of yesteryear?
Yeah, it is. Same quality, same build, same manufacturer. Still built in Singapore.
Oh, okay.
Singapore.
Yeah.
Wow. How long have you been based in Singapore?
Since '73. Hong Kong before that.
Yeah.
Would you do me a favor? Jim and I were talking about the hulls of some of the way these boats are chined. I noticed that back in the middle 70s and the 80s that the Grand Banks had the hull that would go through bad seas better than most boats. How was that whole controversial thing? I mean, Grand Banks were noted for their ways of plowing through the water.
Yeah, it was the weight, truly. It's all about probably the design of the hull, and they were slow boats. Now they're a little faster, but it's a heavy boat. Semi-displacement. 42 is about 34,000 pounds, so when it's dry.
So the weight's what's helping it plow through the sea, not necessarily the shape of the hull.
Yeah, well, it's all part of it, but the weight will always have a big part to do with that.
Do people usually buy Grand Banks as a fishing boat or as a pleasure liverboard type?
More of a coastal cruiser.
Coastal cruiser.
Yeah,
And what would you say the range is then?
close to 1,000 miles.
So it'd be easy to do a round trip from here to San Francisco and back.
Yeah, matter of fact, we just brought this down last week from San Francisco.
How was the seas?
They were rough, but that's pretty standard on the Pacific, I guess.
Yeah. Now is it rougher going or coming?
It's easier going south.
Right. You're going with the current.
You got to beat back.
Yeah.
Going back up, you got to beat back. I know. Coming from Mexico on a sailboat.
Yeah.
Diesel
This guy's
all the
a
way.
sailor.
Yeah.
My dream is a Grand Banks. If I had the money, I would get, out of all the power boats I like, it would be a Grand Banks.
Now is that
Because-
just to be a liveaboard?
Yeah, it's be excellent liverboard, an excellent a big boat, like you said, a coastal cruiser.
Right.
1,000 miles on a boat like this, you can get a good Mexico run out of it. But you know, I'm broke. I don't have the money to afford the diesel fuel. So
What kind of, okay, how much is the fuel? Or I mean, how big's
600
the-
gallons.
600 gallons?
what type of engine do you guys carry on it?
We've got 210 Cummins, pair of them.
And so as far as like the displacement, are your engines placed like say more forward?
Yeah, right in the middle of the boat gives it a better riding angle.
And then how about the fuel? Where do you guys load the fuel?
In the middle as well.
Yeah.
Usually the fuel tanks are either in front of the engine or under the engine.
Yeah, they're either outboard. On this case, they're outboard and midship.
Oh, okay. That's good. 600 gallons.
And then how much fresh water, if it's a liveaboard, does it carry?
200 gallons.
Right.
And it's got the shower, everything. We'll see when we go below. Grand Banks are really laid out for liverboards. They're the Popeyes of the boating world.
Well, hey, thank you, Ian.
This is your lifesaver when you anchor out.
Yeah.
It's Wildcat and the Gypsy. This is the Wildcat, this is the Gypsy. I hope I'm not backwards. This takes the rope up, this brings the chain up.
Yeah.
You have to be real careful when you're dealing with this because you can get your fingers caught in here and there. You got a point there. Sometimes you might want to replace the chain because if the chain starts getting, you know what they say, a chain is only as strong as its weakest link. If a chain starts getting cracks in it or it gets too corroded, you jump the whole chain because you don't know where the weak link is.
Yeah.
And all this is galvanized steel anyhow. And it stays dry for the most part, but they tend to get rusty. Yeah. And if you do a lot of anchoring, then you want to really check that. On your rope itself, your anchor line as we call it, you want to check for chafe points.
I'm going boating